Ha ha ha. I have ascended to the Doshin level. How can you mere ants resist me? My plan has spanned millennia, all for this momentous day. Above the dim sky of the great thousand worlds, dark clouds of blood and miasma continuously swirled, and from within them came an unsettling sound. The chilling aura it exuded felt like a terrifying force, one that transcended the very fabric of the great thousand. Below, Xiao, who had exhausted all his strength in trying to stop Ren Yuanzi, was caught by Nan as he plummeted towards the ground. But Ren Yuanzi, standing tall in the sky, paid no heed, his handsome face twisted into a mocking grin. Now, even the strongest in the great thousand worlds, Xiao, was reduced to this state. It seemed that this entire realm was powerless against him. Xiao, Holy King, Xiao Tianming, you three are now the leaders of the great thousand worlds. Do not think that I won't give you a chance. Will you choose to submit to me or face death? Ren Yuanzi stood arrogantly, his gaze filled with disdain for all living things. He sneered, as though to him, the peak beings before him were no more fragile than ants. Did he really succeed? In an instant, as Ren Yuanzi's vast voice echoed across the heavens, countless beings felt their bodies and souls violently shake. An invisible pressure descended from the heavens, slowly crushing the last flicker of hope in their hearts, making them unable to resist falling to their knees in worship. That kind of fluctuation was beyond the reach of any quasi-divine rank. It was the divine might of a Doshin level powerhouse. Doshin level? How did he do it? Feeling the overwhelming divine pressure, anxiety spread like wildfire in the hearts of everyone present, and even their voices became choked with emotion. The sixth holy flame within Ren Yuanzi, the nine heavens god-slaying flame, the 14th holy flame of Soul Clan leader Soul Tianhao, the eternal nightmare flame, and the source power of the evil eye from the leader of the extraterritorial realm. This guy is not some Shindi, he is clearly Ren Yuanzi, one of the three Yuans. From the crowd, a graceful figure rose in anger, her eyes filled with bitterness and resentment, as she seemed to expose the identity of the one before them. Even if you know my identity, so what? Shindi is dead. The remaining dual powers of heaven and earth have fused into my body. I am the true god of this multiverse. Ha ha ha. Even after Yunqi fully explained the situation, Ren Yuanzi showed no fear. He stood unshaken, for he was now in an invincible position, and it seemed there was no force in this world that could oppose him. At that moment, Ren Yuanzi stood atop the heavens, and in his hand, a complex black moon seemed to flicker in and out of sight. The moon was covered with countless evil eyes, and upon a closer look, the power emanating from them seemed eerily similar to the one in Xiao Yan's chest. Beneath him, Xiao Tianyuan, Xiao Yuntian, and the ancient supreme beings all lay prostrate in silence, as if awaiting Ren Yuanzi's command. Once he gave the order, the entire foundation of the great thousand worlds might be destroyed in an instant. This guy, he seems to be waiting for something? Two sisters-in-law. As the situation grew tense, the king of beasts suddenly sensed something and swiftly approached Yun and Kai Lin. Ren Yuanzi was clearly capable of destroying everything, but the two of them remained unmoved, as if waiting for something. The three of them, the 10-colored devouring heaven python, the floral god, and the king of beasts, held ancient legacy, and their senses were far more acute than others. The king of beasts, the floral god, and the 10-colored devouring heaven python, these ancient supremes, at least surpassed the quasi-divine rank and reached the Doshin level. Now they have been resurrected, but they still carry no divine aura. I suspect Ren Yuanzi is the lord of the ancient battlefield, and these resurrections and the power loss may have something to do with him. With the king of beasts' reminder, Yun nodded slightly and voiced her thoughts aloud. Inside the 10-colored devouring heaven python above, I seem to sense an overwhelming anger and unwillingness, and the source of it is Ren Yuanzi. I feel it too. Me too. The three nodded, and then their inner power began to stir, as if they had a plan of their own. Elsewhere, high in the sky of the boundless fire domain, nearly 1,000 meters from the ground, Xiao Yan fell straight toward the earth after his failed strike. With Nan Nan's intervention, the others stopped their attempts to rescue him and turned their attention entirely to Ren Yuanzi. This was the greatest threat to the Great Thousand Worlds now. The deathly silence did not last long. Soon, Ren Yuanzi slowly began to move, stepping into the void with ease. In his pure, jade-like hand, he carried a black moon, marked with evil symbols that pulsed and swirled, making one feel nauseous. Our Great Thousand Worlds has no room for cowards who fear death. To fully unify the Great Thousand, I'm afraid we'll need to pay a hefty price. The imposing form of the Holy King, along with Xiao Tianming's sharp voice, echoed through the heavens and earth, lingering for a long while. Clearly, their actions and intentions needed no further explanation. Is that so? In that case, there's no need for this world to exist any longer. Everyone, take action. Let these ants witness the might of the divine palace. Facing the righteous initiative taken by the Holy King and Xiao Tianming, Ren Yuanzi seemed to have sensed it long ago. He turned with a faint smile toward the supreme powerhouses behind him. At his signal, they moved like puppets commanded, charging towards the Holy King and his group with madness in their eyes. In an instant, the entire world changed. The sky darkened, and fierce winds blew. Countless dazzling streams of energy streaked across the sky, heading towards the peak experts of the Great Thousand Allied Forces. The Holy King and Xiao Tianming acted first, igniting the flame of life, and immediately blocked Xiao Tianyuan and Xiao Yuntian. Next came the Poison God, Floral God, Tin-colored Sky-devouring Serpent, and other superpowered beings, each joined by their respective successors to intercept the enemies. The void was painted crimson with blood, the air thick with the smell of blood and the heroic spirit of those marching towards death. The scene was filled with war, and the entire world seemed to boil with energy. However, it was only Ren Yuanzi and the three below, Xiao Yin among them, whose expressions were strange, as though they were hunters and prey at the same time. Foolish girl, you shouldn't have come, after all. This is our Great Thousands matter. I don't want to involve you. Xiao Yin fell rapidly, sensing the refreshing fragrance around him. He sighed softly. But I came anyway. In response to Xiao Yan's sigh, Nan Nan gazed firmly at him, her resolve clear. She knew that, at this moment, Xiao Yin was no different from an ordinary mortal. If things dragged on any further, the consequences would be unthinkable. But all of this was her choice, her principle. In the next moment, Nan Nan's slender arm exerted a gentle force, and she scooped Xiao Yin up as though in a princess carry. Her long, black hair swayed slightly, their bodies close. The distinct fragrance of a girl filled Xiao Yan's senses, intoxicating him. It was a smell he had long sought, a source of power he had never found. It was divine, almost like the key to entering the path of the Doshan. You. Feeling this powerful divine energy, Xiao Yan's voice trembled, choked with emotion. Although he had known for some time that Nan Nan was essential to countering Ren Yuanzi, he had never expected that she herself embodied divine power. She was the key to breaking through the Doshan stage. Looking at Xiao Yan's shocked expression, Nan Nan's face bloomed with pride. Then, her gaze softened as she looked at Xiao Yan, and now she could clearly feel it. Xiao Yan had already poured all his energy into stopping Ren Yuanzi from successfully evolving into a Doshan. His veins were shattered, his blood in disarray. He had already become no different from a cripple. Even the evil eye on his chest had taken advantage of the time to devour Xiao Yan's body completely. In this pitiful state, even a divine doctor would have no solution. I don't want you to do this. We've already caused you too much pain. There must be another way. Xiao Yan forced himself to regain composure, trying to make himself look a little better, but after seeing Nan Nan's serene expression, he realized these were all helpless acts. It seemed that from the moment she awakened, from the moment she leapt into the sky, everything had already been decided. She was divine. She was the key to breaking through Doshan. No matter how the ending changed, her fate was unshakable. Yes. Whether it's Brother Yuan Tian or Brother Xiao Yin, both of you have given me so much, but I am willing. I'm willing to give everything for the ones I cherish. Everything in Paradise Lost, and everything in the Great Thousand Worlds, Thank you for making my life so extraordinary. I am willing to be your blade, to protect this beautiful great thousand." At this moment, Nan Nan's beautiful face was filled with pride, and a sly smile appeared at the corner of her lips. Without giving Xiao Yin any chance to struggle, she leaned forward, their eyes locking. In the blink of an eye, Nan Nan slightly parted her jade-like lips, and her soft lips gently pressed against Xiao Yan's face. A mixture of milky white and azure blood slowly flowed from her mouth, gradually entering Xiao Yan's body. At that moment, time abruptly stopped. Xiao Yan's eyes began to moisten. He had believed that after enduring countless storms and hardships, his tears had long since dried up. But who would have thought, in the face of such a critical situation, there would still be a fragile, defenseless woman? The two bodies froze in midair. However, Nan Nan's delicate face showed no fear. Instead, there was a triumphant smile, as if victory was assured. "Xiao Yan Gij, the rest is up to you." Her ethereal voice lingered in Xiao Yan's ears for the last time. Immediately, the divine palace within his body began to churn. The blurry scenes became increasingly clear. In Paradise Lost, Yuan Tian and Shen Di were born as divine beings, living for generations to guard sacred artifacts. But over time, Shen Di began to harbor rebellious thoughts. Fortunately, Yuan Tian secretly drew power from the first holy flame and the first divine artifact to nurture Nan Nan. Soon, a battle broke out between the two Do gods. Shen Di was severely injured, splitting into 3 parts, and escaped from Paradise Lost. Yuan Tian's lifespan was nearly exhausted, and helplessly, he sealed Nan Nan's powers and memories, scattering them across the great thousand worlds. In the process of 9 reincarnations, he tried to dismantle Shen Di's ancient conspiracy. As for the so-called ancient battlefield, it was originally a place for gods like the Floral God and Moon God to reside. However, it was secretly destroyed by yuanzi using evil divine techniques. From that moment on, the great thousand worlds no longer had any Do gods. Senior, Nan Nan, this world and its freedom, I will protect it with my own hands. Divine right, Do God path. Boom. Suddenly, an enormous surge of energy began to gather from all directions toward Xiao Yin, with him as the center. Nan Nan's delicate body began to ignite, melt, and all of it poured into Xiao Yan's chest, his pores, his skin, and his very flesh. As this scene unfolded, Xiao Yan clearly felt his dying body heal in an instant. The evil eye's power within him was completely dissolved by divine energy, and an indescribable, terrifying power gathered inside him, drawing on all his strength, shaking off some intangible shackles. That was the Do God stage. Meanwhile, in the sky above the boundless flame domain, the battle between the numerous peak beings of the great thousand worlds and the army under yuanzi had reached its peak. The army formed by the revived supreme beings overwhelmed the great thousand alliance's forces, seemingly sealing their fate. Holy King, Xiao Tianming, and other peak beings struggled to lift their heads, their faces filled with despair, as if this was the end of the great thousand worlds. Just as this thought crossed their minds, a deep, ancient buzzing sound emanated from Xiao Yan's position below, causing everyone's attention to shift immediately. As the buzzing sound appeared, it seemed like some ancient divine power, causing the movements of the revived supreme beings to slow. Even in their silent eyes, there was a flicker of fiery desire, as they turned their heads to look at Xiao Yan. In their pupils, there was an intense craving, as if Xiao Yan's body contained something with a deadly attraction to them. High in the sky, yuanzi looked at Xiao Yan in this state, and the mocking expression on his face instantly disappeared, replaced by a smug smile. It seemed that he had summoned the Rebirth Legion, all for the purpose of having Nan Nan offer herself in sacrifice. He knew that within Nan Nan's body, a part of his own origin still remained. Without threatening her with the survival of this world, he would never be able to find Nan Nan in his lifetime, nor could he reclaim that last trace of origin power. Think you can break through to the Do God stage under my very nose? How ridiculous! Stop him! yuanzi's maddened voice slowly echoed, and whether due to extreme fear or wild joy, His expression became unusually sinister and terrifying to anyone watching. As his words fell, endless crimson auras surged through the sky, accompanied by numerous dumpty divine shadows, who charged toward Xiao position. Wherever the crimson auras passed, the void collapsed, and any creatures attempting to block them were swallowed, turning into nothingness. This scene was truly tragic. Indeed, because of that evil divine technique, they have no divine power within them. At this moment, Yuanzi shook his head. As the many revived supreme beings drew closer to Xiao, an ancient fluctuation, dormant for millennia within them, began to slowly awaken, almost as if they were resurrecting from the dead. Return to me. At the same time, Yuanzi, who was perched in the sky above, changed expression. His divine power surged, summoning the revived supreme beings back to his side. Yuanzi, feeling a sense of fear, thought to himself, if Xiao were to awaken the will of the supreme beings within them, all his plans spanning eternity might come to nothing. Below, Xiao was surrounded by endless dumpty divine shadows, swirling and hovering around him. His flesh was being reborn, his divine power returning. It seemed as though he was being reborn in some unfathomable way. However, seeing Yuanzi's cautious demeanor, Xiao couldn't help but shake his head slightly. It seemed his plan had been uncovered. The divine power from Nan's sacrifice now surpassed everything, transcending all things. If by chance, it could completely shatter the control over the many supreme beings, Yuanzi's threat would naturally collapse. Unfortunately, Yuanzi's caution exceeded Xiao expectations. Creatures from the great thousand worlds looked up in confusion, unaware of the reason behind this unfolding scene. The spirit of the divine artifact that resides within Paradise Lost. If it weren't for Yuan's extraordinary methods, how could such a divine object fall into the hands of a mere ant like you? In response to Xiao demeanor, Yuanzi casually chuckled. However, it matters not. Once I swallow you whole, I will return to my peak, ruling over the heavens. As soon as Yuanzi's words fell, the sun in the heavens dimmed. A foul wind and blood rain filled the air, transforming into countless razor-sharp blood-red needles that fell from the sky like lightning. Within these blood-red needles was an energy so terrifying it could send chills down one's spine. Even a quasi-divine realm expert would instantly perish from a mere sweep of their power. Endless divine domain. Xiao snorted coldly, and countless holy flame powers surged around him, transforming into a suffocating, massive wall of flames tens of thousands of feet high. Crack! The blood-red needles effortlessly sliced through the endless divine domain, tearing apart the space Xiao had created. The divine domain, imbued with divine power, shattered without warning in the eyes of countless beings. Witnessing Xiao's final hope dissipate, even as he faced Yuanzi, his courage seemed so weak. All were stunned, as the destructive power loomed over them, bringing an overwhelming sense of death that made them forget everything. A single casual strike was enough to defeat Xiao. This catastrophe now seemed to have no solution. Give me 3 minutes, please. As if already anticipating this, Xiao spoke faintly, stepping forward with endless divine fire beneath his feet, moving toward the location of the boundless fire domain below. There stood the Golden Gate to Paradise Lost. Xiao knew that now. He was caught between the quasi-divine realm and Shen realm. Unless he returned to Paradise Lost and broke through to the Shen realm to reclaim what belonged to him, he had no chance of winning this divine battle. Beings of the great thousand worlds, heed my command. Form the formation. At this moment, Holy King and Xiao Tianming exchanged a glance, then their bodies lifted into the air. Their ominous, cold voices echoed in every corner of the heavens. Though they knew they could not resist Yuanzi's power, they could only muster every ounce of their strength and give it one last try. Power of reincarnation. Glorious sacred flame. Hearing the righteous voices of the Holy King and Xiao Tianming, countless beings from different regions of the great thousand worlds suddenly soared into the air, unleashing deafening roars. Countless powers of reincarnation shot from their bodies, converging into a colossal mirror of heaven and earth, hurtling toward Yuanzi. Obliterate. Seemingly fearing the effects of Xiao Yan's divine power fluctuation, yuanzi once again placed an evil barrier within the bodies of the revived supreme beings. His palms slowly pointed downward at the countless fearless beings below. Kill them all, massacre this world, and bring forth the ancient era once more. Yuanzi looked down at those ants walking toward death, chuckling lightly. Boom! At this moment, countless peak beings from the great thousand worlds continued to sacrifice themselves, intercepting the strong figures trying to annihilate Xiao Yan. They knew this was the last hope of the great thousand worlds. The wail of the holy angel. Led by the angel queen, the angelic holy prayer was sung by over 5 tin-winged angels from the angel kingdom. This prayer was far more terrifying than a single angelic hymn because it was a collective blessing. The attack, defense, and Dookie recovery speed were all increased by nearly half. In an instant, countless beings from the great thousand worlds surged forward, relentlessly charging at those supreme beings. Even though their minuscule power was as weak as moths to a flame, they were determined and unwavering. A single will, an indomitable spirit, was slowly igniting the great thousand worlds. Countless distinct energy halos tilted out of the bodies of the revived supreme beings, and at that moment, the entire world seemed to turn blood red. We can't win. Looking at the never-retreating Rebirth Legion under Yuanzi's command, the peak beings like the Holy King couldn't help but feel a sense of helplessness. The only option now is this do-or-die plan. If Xiao Yan wins, our sacrifice will be worth it. If he loses, then death will be our only end. Poof! In the blink of an eye, the Holy King, Xiao Tianming, and other peak beings' blood surged as they spat out blood laced with the power of the heavens and earth, immediately diving into fierce battle with their army. The scene turned brutal and intense. Boom! After a long while, most of the peak beings of the Great Thousand Alliance were wiped out. Only 4 matriarchs remained to lead the army, with the rest nearly falling. In the void, countless familiar auras remained. These were the blood and essence of the Holy King, Xiao Tianming, Yao Ji, Golden Dragon King, and other peak beings from the Great Thousand Worlds. Clearly, to stop the revived supreme beings, they had sacrificed their lives in the battle in the void. However, with the appearance of countless beings willing to die, the fluctuations from Paradise Lost grew stronger. The divine ancient realm is about to break. At the center of the formation, Yuan Yan's face turned pale, clearly having reached her limits to maintain this divine formation. A bunch of powerless ants. Looking at how easily the Rebirth Legion had wiped out half of the Great Thousand Worlds peak beings, Yuanzi lowered his head slightly, glancing at the billions of beings within the divine formation, before shaking his head with a hint of disdain. You think your so-called savior is something special? He's just a coward who fears death. Now, it seems he's already fleeing through Paradise Lost, quickly escaping to another world. Yuanzi's calm voice carried a hint of disappointment, clearly sensing Xiao Yan's aura growing weaker by the moment. Utter nonsense. Upon hearing Yuanzi's words, the enraged beings who had fought desperately poured all their energy into the divine formation. Doshan warriors are indeed strong. Facing the angry gazes of the billions of beings, Xun'er, Kailin, Mu Yingying, and Yun smiled faintly. Their bodies erupted in flames, like the last light in the dark night, cutting through the void. For immense and pure energies surged into the divine ancient realms formation that protected the billions of beings. They had absolute trust in Xiao Yan, so in response to Yuanzi's attempts to sow discord, they took the most direct action, proving their commitment to the beings of the Great Thousand Worlds. Quite touching. However, I must retrieve my last bit of origin, so the fate of this world ends here. A moment later, Yuanzi's delicate hand slowly raised, and a pure white flame emerged from thin air. He gently pressed it down on the divine ancient realms formation below. The divine ancient realm was the strongest defensive formation preserved in the angel kingdom. Now, it had been transformed by the power of billions of beings and was under Yuan Yan's control, wielding the power of a battle array master. Its defenses could even withstand a fatal strike from a quasi-divine rank warrior. Xiao Yan, brother, we've reached our limit. The four girls felt weak. Though they hadn't fallen, it was clear their life force was nearly exhausted. As they gazed at the golden door behind the formation, their words carried a sense of resignation. Boom! The milky white flame, with a destructive force, slammed into the divine ancient realms formation. The once unyielding formation, capable of resisting the combined attack of numerous revived supreme beings, now began to crumble, on the verge of shattering. In the blink of an eye, the ancient realm shattered without warning. The void collapsed, and a wave of destructive fire spread from the heavens, carrying an unstoppable milky white flame toward the billions of beings below. In the boundless fire domain, the gathering place of billions of beings, without the protection of the divine ancient realm, a crushing pressure from the Doshan warriors as the milky white flame surged, millions of lives were instantly consumed by the fire without warning. The scent of blood filled the entire boundless fire domain, and the shadow of death, along with fear, spread relentlessly across the heavens and earth. This beast! The four matriarchs trembled weakly, their eyes bursting with pain as an indescribable anguish surged from the depths of their hearts. Everywhere they looked, the sky was filled with blood mist, within which were the countless lives of the great thousand worlds. At this moment, not a single soul attempted to flee. The millions of beings, their eyes bloodshot, desperately charged towards Yuanzi's position, as if mad with fury. Even though their powers were minuscule, they swore to resist to the death, fighting for the homes they had behind them. The milky white death fire ravaged the land. The blood mist wandered aimlessly, and the wails of the suffering pierced through the surviving beings. This scene of devastation was truly the apocalypse, a hell that no one could withstand, with nothing waiting for them but death. Ants should have the appearance of ants. Ha ha ha. Watching the countless beings wail helplessly like ants, Yuanzi's face broke into an expression of unprecedented joy. At the far end of the boundless fire domain, in the place where the bloodlines of all the races of the great thousand worlds were safeguarded, Xiao and Xiao could not help but clench their teeth as they gazed at the gruesome scene. In the face of such an apocalyptic situation, even they felt a deep, crushing despair. Father! Even Xiao, now standing tall, looked like a weeping figure, her nose red as she gazed towards the golden gate. They had already reached their limit. Beside her, Xiaolin's blood surged as he roared with eyes reddened, showing signs of being willing to sacrifice himself. Sit down. Even in the worst case, we cannot let the bloodlines of the races be completely extinguished. Otherwise, we will be the sinners of this era. Take them and go. Hearing the voices of the two, a white-haired elder deep within the cave slowly rose, then suddenly roared. Yao Chun, your aura? Heh, I just broke through to reincarnation. I hadn't even had the chance to flaunt it to that kid. Who would have thought that I would see such an apocalypse? Clan leader Xiao, you and the remaining bloodlines should leave first. Strong ones are waiting along the way to guide you. I'll go meet that guy. At the very moment when the familiar faces of Xiao Yan's group were debating, the bodies of Xiao Zhan, Xiao Ding, Xiao Li, and even Xiao and Xiao Lin suddenly grew a little taller. Their bloodlines boiled violently. A sense of ecstatic power surged within them. The clan marks on their foreheads flickered with scorching waves, and even their strength skyrocketed in an instant. Boom! At this scene in the cave, countless humans felt a pang of bitterness rise within them. Then, Yao Chen and the others quickly stepped out of the cave, their eyes turned toward the boundless sky. Looking up, they saw, in the midst of this ravaged world, a ripple of azure energy rapidly spreading. As it spread, Yuanzi's milky white flames slowly began to extinguish. High above the boundless fire domain, in the countless miles of empty space, a streak of azure energy completely enveloped the region, and at the far end of that azure energy was a figure, cloaked in flames, exuding an undeniable aura of divine power. 30 brilliant holy flames fell from the sky like fireworks, accompanied by a terrifying temperature and a strength so appalling it spread rapidly across the heavens and earth. At the sight of this figure, Yuanzi's usually calm face twisted into a rare, sinister expression. Even the reborn supreme beings behind him shuddered, sensing a terrifying power emanating from Xiao, from those dazzling flames. That was the power of the Doshan. His expression was majestic, his gaze like that of an ancient god of war, eyes filled with an oppressive force that could not be looked at directly. Brother Xiao, it's done. Alliance leader Xiao, he's done it. At this moment, countless joyous cheers erupted from all directions. Then, innumerable beings, like those reborn, looked on with ecstatic faces, tears streaming down their cheeks as they knelt in reverence. The millions of beings in the great thousand worlds had long heard the countless legends of Xiao. Now, they gazed upon this figure with an overwhelming respect. That was Xiao, the legendary figure of the Xiao clan, a man draped in countless colors. Everyone, thank you for your hard work. Xiao had just appeared, and his expression was filled with an overwhelming fury. With a subtle wave of his hand, a grand portal flashed into existence, carrying with it endless sacred fluctuations. In an instant, it split the ravaged land and the divine battlefield above into two. Xiao knew that battles between Doshan were not something mere mortals could touch or involve themselves in. It seems you've successfully reached the Doshan stage as well. The divinity of that divine artifact spirit is indeed pure, yuanzi remarked with a sly smile, seemingly unafraid despite Xiao's towering rage. At this point, there's no need for more words. Xiao declared coldly. yuanzi, you've harmed the great thousand worlds and plotted for the eternal plan of the extraterritorial realms. Your actions are unforgivable. Let this battle be the end of you. The man in the green robe raised his head and looked at yuanzi, whose expression was almost mad. Xiao sneered. However, Xiao now exuded a trace of divinity in the holy flame flowing through his body. Even his eyes shimmered with a beautiful, fiery glow mixed with a hint of azure energy. Such an arrogant little brat, yuanzi scoffed. If you lose, this world will cease to exist, and when the ancient era returns, another scene will unfold. Only by submitting to me can you ensure this world's survival. yuanzi's smile grew even more twisted as he faced Xiao's defiant stance. Rather than relying on someone else, it's far more reassuring to protect it myself. And don't worry, this battle is one you will certainly lose, Xiao replied with a faint smile that carried an enigmatic tone. Divine art. 7 punishments of the heavenly gods. Seeing Xiao's confident demeanor, yuanzi wasted no more time. His divine power surged within him, and a milky white flame whip emerged from behind him, quickly growing to a size of several 100,000 feet. It carried an overwhelming divine power that seemed to transcend the very heavens and earth. Countless sacred forces poured out from yuanzi's body, instantly transforming into an endless sea of flames. The power in the fire seemed to carry a sense of despair. Raising his hand, yuanzi manipulated the giant flame whip, mercilessly swinging it towards Xiao. With the first strike, the heavens and earth were torn apart. With the second, the void itself shattered. Each lash of the flame whip seemed to make the very world tremble. The power within it far surpassed what any mortal could endure. God-slaying ruler, ruler of all laws. Facing yuanzi's destructive divine flame whip, Xiao extended his hand slightly and silently grasped the god-slaying ruler. Sacred flames imbued with divine power clung to the weapon. With a swift, distant wave, it was as if a divine temple had trembled in fury. A terrifying force surged outward, and the two attacks collided in mid-air. Boom! In the sky, the massive flame whip and the flame ruler collided, sending violent energy ripples that made the entire void tremble. Cracks in space, thousands of miles long, spread rapidly from the point of impact. Beneath them, countless beings of the great thousand worlds, who had just managed to catch their breath, watched in awe as these earth-shattering attacks raged above. The pressure from the battle was so overwhelming that words could not describe it. A battle between two Doshan, Kai Lin muttered, anxiety flooding her heart as she observed the fierce clash. Though Xiao has entered the Doshan stage as well, he still can't compare to yuanzi in terms of martial skills and techniques. After all, That guy is one of the guardians of Paradise Lost. Send me up there, Qing Yuan ordered. His teeth clenched as he gazed at the dying angels behind him. Queen, are you truly going to do this? The angels' minds went blank at the determined stance of their queen. If the Lord of the boundless flame domain can do this for this world, then as the queen of the angel kingdom, why can't I? Qing Yuan's face gradually broke into a smug smile. Yes. Such a lowly Shun, and yet you can wield such power. I must say, I'm impressed. Did you truly think that just because you've entered the Doshin stage, you can challenge me? What a ridiculous thought. I am a guardian of Paradise Lost. The things I have learned and seen are beyond your reach. But I've grown tired of these pointless struggles, so? 8 reincarnations in a row. The return of the ancient era. Yuanzi suddenly conjured 3 flames of different colors in his hands, along with an object imbued with the evil power of the leader of the extraterritorial realm. In an instant, he closed his hands, and in the blink of an eye, a dazzling milky white light erupted from his palms. The milky white orb of light was supremely holy, its radiance so intense that even the void itself seemed to be consumed by it. Immediately, the space behind Yuanzi subtly collapsed, and shadowy figures, bound by some kind of shackling force, slowly approached. Ha ha ha. As Yuanzi's voice faded, the void behind him instantly collapsed, and 8 coffins, glowing with starkly different hues, slowly emerged. They immediately sealed off the 8 surrounding positions near Xiao, locking them in place. The 8 coffins seemed to contain power beyond the extremes of heaven and earth. A single misstep could lead to complete annihilation of both body and soul. With a wave of Yuanzi's hand, the 8 eerie coffins surrounded Xiao, their shackling power warping time and space, overturning the very balance of yin and yang. 8 eras, huh? Looks like Nan's guess was correct. The 8 coffins spun rapidly, and an invisible pressure, as if formed by the very will of heaven and earth, surrounded Xiao. The overwhelming force was such that a single wrong move could plunge him into an irredeemable abyss. Moments later, the 8 coffins seemed to merge into an ethereal and illusory realm of darkness, pulling Xiao inside by sheer force. Endless darkness, accompanied by a wave of excruciating pain and anger, slowly engulfed Xiao's mind. It seemed as though within this place, all of his divine power had fallen into an inexplicable and unusable state.